I figure out how to get the hell out of here. I don't even know if we can exit the same way we came in. Oh no, there were 2 lanes. Alright. Let's go. Alright. Definitely do not feel like going through downtown Dayton, so. Anyway. What was it? Oh, right, yeah, so, the interview. Basically, it was like, you know, I went in and, I got there early and I ordered, I got myself a tea. It was at a coffee shop, which at first I thought was weird, so I did a bit of research. Now, apparently that's like a super common thing, to have interviews at like coffee shops, restaurants, or public places.
Weird. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, neither had I. And, you know, there's a number of reasons, like, because it was at 11:30 and the bar doesn't open until 5, so he just didn't have an office, which I'm like, oh, well, you know, that makes sense. And that's, like, the number one reason. Other reasons that were, like, I don't know, like, more a very informal interview. But, oh god, it's just freaking me the fuck out. But anyway, I got there early, and I see this guy come in, and he looks like ex-military, and like, you know, like sort of like not like thuggish clothes, but, you know, like just, you know, that style, sportish clothing, and then he's just got his back right up against the wall, right beside the door, like fucking special forces. Like, ooh. So I wonder if that's the guy. So I, you know, sent off an email and came by and introduced it. It was like, all right, this is going to be a really informal interview. Are you able to work Saturday? I'm like, yeah, I guess. It's like, perfect. All right, I'll put you down for Saturday. You available to work Sunday? You know, just because it's a long weekend. I'm like, yeah. It's like, all right, good. I'll put you down for Sunday. All right. So, and then he just starts talking about, you know, so the bar just opened like a week ago, and you know, just giving me all this information. And, you know, he had like the schedule down in front of him, so I saw the name of the pub, and he's like, "Yeah, have any questions?" I was like, "Yeah." So I'm going to be working at you know, the pub that I'm working at. He's like, "Oh yeah." I guess like he was so excited to bring me on, he forgot to actually tell me what you know, job or where I would be working. Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, it's, you know, just we're trying to go for like a really friendly attitude. I don't want to have you know, the image of bouncers working at the bar. You know, just, you know, we're just going to be there and kind of in the background, and if there's problems, we'll take care of them. But, you know, I'll be working at the main door, and I'll try to eliminate, you know, 90% of the problems, but you can't stop everything. You know, seems pretty reasonable, pretty cool. And then yeah, so I am now a bouncer. First shift starts tomorrow night.
Did you buy him a coffee?
He didn't know. No, I buy my own tea. He didn't buy anything himself. And then he just, you know, he started going into his own history. He was in fact ex-military, U.S. Army, he said. And didn't go into more detail, which, I mean, maybe he was Delta Force. Who knows? Yeah, he seemed like a pretty, you know, pretty cool and reasonable guy. So, well, the other thing that he said was like, was that amongst all the bouncers, we're gonna share gratuity from, you know, cover charge and all that. Yeah, which is another really cool and interesting thing, I guess. Because he said, I mean, you know, main thing he said is he's the only one going to be working the door for like 3 months, so he doesn't want all the bouncers to be like, he's making so much more money than us, so we're getting shitty $13 an hour. So, I mean, the pub just opened, so there's not too many people that will be coming, but eventually most of the money will be coming from gratuity.
How big is the place?
It's
it sounds like if they need.
It's
I mean, I guess
like
everybody
a
needs
long
bouncer.
hall, but it's 2 floors, and it's more like a pub feel. I don't know what was there before. I assume probably just another bar.
Do you have a fancy title of some kind? Or
Just
bouncer.
yeah, just I think legally, or just secure.
Yeah. It's a weird term that has never really gotten. I mean, it's gotten analogs, but we all know the bullshit.
Yeah. Except I'm not really a doorman because I won't be working the door for a while. And that was the other thing. He was like, "Do you have any experience?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You know what? It's okay." He's like, "Yeah, I see you've got a lot of martial arts experience." I'm like, "Yep." That was cool. And I like I don't know. I'm at a point in my life as a fighter where I can pretty well gauge if somebody is a real tough guy or not. And yeah, and he seemed like he's a pretty tough guy, but he was super nice too. And I was like, okay, seems like the kind of guy I can enjoy working for.
Great. Moving to a different kind of lifeguard.
Yeah,
He's
pretty
be
much.
watching a very different kind of pool.
And that's
But
exactly what
probably
it is.
still spending most of your time watching it.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty like they really are just exactly the same job.
Hopefully, they'll have interesting stories.
Yeah. I don't want to. I looked up the place and there was for like having been open, really actually only open for a week when I had the interview. It was like it opened on like the 28th of January. It had a surprising number of publicity and positive reviews from people who've been there already. So hey, maybe I'll be a part of something that will explode into the next whatever. I don't ever go downtown to clubs and bars, so I don't know what the big one is. Remember there was that. I remember we went out to a nightclub once.
Yep.
And once there was only one time, and we were walking by, and there was the gay and the lesbian nightclub side by side, and then there were just a whole bunch of lesbians walking in. Like, hey, there's some gay people across the street. I don't know how that's gonna affect sound, but whatever. I'll have to project.
I haven't been to any kind of trendy bar or club in a long time. They were depressing.
Yeah.
I've maybe just never been. I don't know. I find all clubs depressing, even ones that are cool.
Holy shit, $99 million.
Diggity.
Yeah, it's just the worst abscess of society. And fucking condensed and put into a dark and hot room. And that's just what they all fucking are.
Like, probably didn't help that I got off on the wrong foot with clubs in general. When, like, the first time I went to one with, like, you and a bunch of your old work friends and stuff, I was quite young. That was, like, my first time going to a club. And we got there really early, and that was a mistake.
Yes.
Because it allowed you to see the people who were coming into that place one by one.
Yeah, and then
Each one more pathetic looking than the last. And it's like, it's not as bad if it's a person who's walking into a room full of other people and it's just like, oh man, enjoy the party. When it's just like a couple people coming in and ordering a drink, it's just like, oh jeez.
Yeah, you get to see.
I can see exactly how you ended up here, and it's not pretty.
You get to see like the sort of like the skinny guy who gets there really early and he's just kind of like hoping to get a girl drunk enough to get laid. And then there's like the pack of like 3 girls, and like 2 of them are ugly, and one of them is really pretty, and then they're just like hanging out. They're like, we're gonna have girls' time.
Yep.
And then there's like the
40-year-old guy.
Yeah, the 40-year-old guy, and it's just
40-year-old guy who, like, obviously, is not just came off of work.
He was wearing his work shirt.
Yeah. and he's just like kind of sweaty. It's like going in there and seeing like the pathetic, desperate men who come in there, and then also seeing the very same close call.
The equally pathetic,
desperate women.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I see why you like. Wow, I can't believe this is going to work out for both of you. I'm happy for you. Invite me to the wedding.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's cliche to say or not, but I'm just way more satisfied drinking, like, with friends at like a small party. Because I mean, I drank with my parents because my parents are like the best fucking drinking buddies that I've had. No offense to you, but oh god, like I just have so many stories of like drinking with my parents. Like my mom can hold her liquor better than anybody I know, including my dad, the 6'3", 250-pound ex-cop. And when you're a cop, when you're a cop in the 70s and 80s, you just go drinking after you go to work. My mom, the 5'2", tiny Italian-looking woman, would just fucking drink everybody under the table. So the only time I've ever seen her drunk, I've only ever heard of her being like drunk twice, and once was at my sister's wedding. And imagine this, there was, I think 30 cops or cop wives and husbands on an island. And we just basically had the whole place. There were like, maybe like one or two other old people or fucking whatever. So it's just the entire place is drunk 24/7. So it was the night of the reception. And then we're all just sort of drinking around a fire, and things have sort of slowed down. Oh, right, both my mom and one of our family friends, because I had sort of slowed down drinking at that point. They're both like, "You fucking pussy." We're like, "I'm tired." Like, "Drink, you son of a bitch." I'm like, Mom. But anyway, so it's just quiet. There's quiet moments, and my mom, she's just sitting there, she goes, "Fuck it." And she throws a beer bottle, and we're at the top of a hill overlooking the reception area of the hotel. So she like throws it and bangs down at the point where like taxis will like drop people off at the front door. So basically just throwing beer bottles. And we're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" We're like, "You gotta stop." She's like, "Fucking shut up." And it was like 4 or 5 beer bottles before we just hid the rest of them that were collecting around her. And no explanation. We told her after, she's like, "Yeah, I know. I was just fucking throwing beer bottles." What the fuck? And we're like, God, wow. And it was just out of the, "Fuck it." And she was laughing all the time. Yeah, that's the company that I drink with. Or if you stop drinking, you get called a pussy.
Yeah, my folks aren't huge. Well, my folks aren't entertaining to be around when they're drunk. But as I'm getting older and drinking more myself, I'm certainly starting to realize how much they drink.
Yeah.
And how they use it the same way that I do, which is to the only way that you can relax.
Yeah, it's it's definitely a really relaxing thing.
I just think that like everyone in my family is really like high strung, really quiet and intellectual and so on. And it's like in social situations, the only way we can actually relax and talk is to get a couple of drinks, and that's it.
Yeah. My family, my mom's side of the family is weird because we actually only have. Oh no, there's a few more alcoholics on the side of the family, but most of them are dead now. But my mom's side of the family is actually really intelligent. My mom's dad. She said about him, he's the only person that my aunt said that he's the only person she knows that could read an entire volume of encyclopedias and retain all that knowledge and be able to pull it out easily at will. And my mom is a really smart person, and all of the people on my mom's like my uncle, who's non-educated at all, is actually he's still a really intelligent person. When he talks, you can really hear it. So I think though we drink for the sort of a similar reason as your families. We're very loud and intelligent, but we drink just to relax and have some fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, my folks mostly just get irrational. Drink, where we're normally very predictable, very measured responses, very simple. And just every now and then, I'll just say something that sounds so weird. It sounds like we're weird fucking aliens who communicate through a different language, but it's just you didn't respond to my question exactly the way I thought you would. Have you been drinking?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's my family is super weird when they drink. They become we don't really become unpredictable. We become just more exaggerated versions of ourselves.
I think that's normal.
Yeah. But my family themselves are very unpredictable and weird. There's a very clear split. There's my mom, who is an ex-biker chick, and I don't think I've ever seen her wear something that wasn't black. Everything's black. She was like a heavy weightlifter. And then my uncle, who is also my uncle who got my mom into drugs recreationally, and is working in the movie industry part time, and just kind of looks like Howie Mandel actually, but a little bit taller and darker in his eyes. So there's that side of the family. And then there's the other side of the family, which is, my aunt, who, actually two aunts. One aunt who married somebody 27 years older than her, and is probably, older than he is internally. Just, super proper and mature. And she's 50 and she's a 9-year-old woman. It's insane. And then the other uncle, who is just the quietest person, and is a firefighter in Vancouver. So you have there's this really weird divide between there's the ruffian, the rough side of my family, and then the really proper, sociable, I guess. Credit to society side of the family.
I don't have a whole lot of interesting family members on either side. My dad's side, not even the ones who have various mental problems or reading problems and whatnot are very interesting because they're rough former farmer, come from farming families.
Yeah.
Tough outdoorsmen on my dad's side. Former outdoorsmen in most cases. On my mom's side, it's all big families, white picket fence, very ordinary, suburbia. Yeah. So, and that's about it. There aren't really that many outliers on either side that are actually very interesting. It's I got a couple drunk uncles and falling outs with families, and falling outs with each other over matters of religion and stuff like that. But nobody's actually that interesting in the way I actually want to spend any time with.
Yeah, no, my family's pretty fucked up. Oh, and then there's the aunt who's got, I think maybe 10 kids? 10 kids? 9 kids? It would have been 10 kids, but there was twins, and one of them died, just after childbirth. Or it was during the birth, they were so premature, and they were only able to save one twin. And that was the second to last kid that they had, by the way. So I was like, yeah, they were very devout Roman Catholics, and that's just what you do when you're a Catholic. You have a lot of babies. God, it's just such weird contrast. Oh, and there's the apparently my grandma. We found this out after she died, as we were clearing out her apartment, and there was a letter from an adoption agency. Some woman who's trying to get into contact with her. Well, we all thought that my aunt, the one who married the 25 years older dude, we found out that she had a kid before her with just some guy that we will never find. We never know who he is because she was a pathological liar. So when she put the kid up for adoption, and this was when she was like 18. So she went to the adoption agency and said that he was serving as a cop, and it was this name. Well, then the name, there's no record of any person by that name working for the RCMP. My uncle was also working for the RCMP in Alberta at the time, and really had no recollection of anybody that sort of fit the description. So it probably was a lie. It was just some woman that lives now in Toronto, and we weren't really sure if she was actually related until she was like, there were a lot of weird little things. We got a picture, and it was like, holy shit, this looks like everybody in my family. And my grandma was the type of person who would give you a present for Christmas, and then for somebody's birthday would come to you and be like, hey, you know that present I gave you for Christmas, can I take that? And then give that to this person. She was a gambling addict. So it wasn't until Janice was her name. And Janice and my mom and Janice were emailing back and forth. It wasn't until Janice started asking for money. They were like, yeah, this is definitely Ivy's daughter. There's that crazy woman. Oh God, my family's so fucked up.
One of my aunts had a problem with depression all her life, and she killed herself. So now her family is estranged from our family because they think it's our fault for not intervening when we totally did.
Yeah.
That's the interesting story side of my family. Things like that, or it's like, this person who had a kid way too young, and then he got divorced from his wife, and they've always been like kind of estranged, and he wants to come back into his family now that the kid's older, and now he has like children of his own. That's our family.
Yeah.
We don't have any fun, interesting stories. Just stuff we don't talk about.
Yeah. I've got a great uncle who's rich. So rich that he out of pocket money paid for all of my family's college education on my mom's side. Just like it was, so like, oh yeah, here, have $10,000 to go to college. And would have paid for my mom's college education. She didn't go to college. I don't know if she graduated high school or not, actually. If she did, it would have been just on somebody else's charity. It would have just been like the teacher, alright, fine, just fucking go away. She did run her own business for 12 years, entirely by herself. So apparently, I guess it didn't actually matter back then. What else? On my dad's side of the family, my biological dad is, there was a bunch of drug addicts, a bunch of people that were in internment camps in World War II. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't kept up with that side of the family. my stepdad's side of the family. Well, he's got a lot of other family too because he's been married 3 times. Yeah, his first wife is a crazy woman. She's a really weird person. She's really small, and it's like she doesn't know anything that's going on, but she's fully aware of everything. You know, one of those weird little people that are just, they seem like they're really sweet, but are just like they're out of their mind.
No, I'm not sure.
It's her. I don't know. She's like Sean's mom in Shaun of the Dead, if you remember. She's really just kind of airheaded. And then I've never had a second wife, but apparently she's actually a crazy woman. That's the only thing that I've ever heard about her is that she's a really a crazy woman. Yeah, well, that side of the family there's a lot of trouble too. I
don't know which family reunions I'd rather attend.
It's just well, I mean, here's the thing: is that at least in my family reunions, it's like just you got a whole spectrum of behavioral issues. Whereas, you know, and I can sort of, you know, align myself with some family members and, you know, just, and have a reasonably okay time. From what I've gathered, your family there's not that much.
Not a huge variety.
Yeah, there's not a huge variety.
Not as interesting, but also not nearly as trying. Because everyone knows the boundaries and nobody's ever going to make a scene or do anything weird.
Yeah. Everybody's just sort of on the same page.
And anybody who would be a problem with another person is just not invited.
Not invited. That's a horrible thing to laugh at. Family. Oh, hey, apparently somebody's just married. Or haven't washed their car. Oh, God. I don't know about you, but I hate the fucking Keep Calm and X meme.
It was interesting for... When it was just the, like, historical poster. Yeah. It was kind of cool. And then all of the stuff based on it, and just like, oh, we're going to mock this thing, we're going to squeeze every last goddamn drop out of it started coming, and it just makes me an angry man.
If I could, I would unscrew the camera so that I could confirm that this person in front of us has a bumper sticker that says, keep calm, and hashtag save BC Film.
Why does BC Film need saving?
Because...
See, I would look this up, but that bumper sticker is so goddamn irritating that I don't care about your cause.
The reason is that Chrissy Clark is not giving any sort of tax breaks, as in fact making it more expensive to produce films in BC. So Vancouver is rapidly no longer becoming Hollywood North.
Okay, this is an issue I'm now engaged on, and
yes, it is something that affects the both of us.
Yep.
As people who want to get into the film industry. And are now at a point where we're basically just getting the huge middle finger.
Oh, Christy Clarkson.
I don't like her at all.
I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a problem with her face.
Yes.
Or her general bearing, all kinds of stuff like that. But she makes a lot of poor decisions and seems very out of the loop.
Yeah.
And I feel like has used. I don't know if it's her or proponents of her, supporters of her, have really used her gender as for the wrong end.
Yeah.
They have tried to make the case that, like, people will not elect this woman because she's a woman, and it's like, no, they don't elect her because she has bad policies and is stupid.
And she's a bad leader. And, you know, like, and there were women, a few years back, I don't know if you remember the coup, where just, like, everybody in the Liberal Party was leaving. And there were a lot of women, what the fuck was her name? Something Kwan. But like, you know, just like a major player in the Liberal Party. Party, one of like the biggest, most public MPs, was very vocally speaking out against her. And again, a woman, and there are a lot of women in the party that did not support Christy Clark. It's not about her being a woman. It's about her being a bad politician, and about her being a bad liberal.
And like when people use that claim, which
Well,
is not even that like seldom true in Canada.
Yeah.
When you use that claim, it sets everyone back. When you like unjustly claim that somebody's being held back because of their gender, when they're being held back because they're a bad politician, it hurts all women in politics.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about like it's mostly an American politic thing. It's just these really toxic claims, which have no benefit other than setting the party that you're trying to hurt aside by forcing them to react to the arguments, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you say. I remember one of the things, like, oh yeah, it was like, people saying like Dick Cheney was a lizard. Like, was actually like an alien lizard who ate children. And it was like, it became like a serious thing. And the smartest thing that Dick Cheney's crew ever did was just not respond to it, because it doesn't matter what you say about somebody, it's forcing them to take time out to respond to that argument, as opposed to doing real, genuine good work. Like Kim Campbell, I liked Kimmy Campbell. I think she would have been a good prime minister had she been re-elected. She's a shitty politician, but I think she would have been a good prime minister. She dug her own grave, basically, and Jean Chrétien was just a way better politician. But that's not an interesting conversation. I don't know, what bothers me a lot about politicians, like fucking Gregor Robertson, and just completely shutting down they were going to build a casino in Vancouver, and Gregor Robertson was like, not in my town. Fuck you, not in your town. You've got the biggest homeless problem in Canada, and one of the biggest in North America. And here's this incredible opportunity to put in the middle of a fucking hub city, a hub city in a country. There's Vancouver and Toronto. That's all anybody fucking cares about. And nobody gives a shit about Quebec, so I'm not even going to mention Montreal. You have Vancouver and Toronto. And if you ask anybody about, I see, come from Canada. Oh, are you from Vancouver or Toronto? So you're gonna drop the opportunity to put a multi-billion-dollar revenue business. It's a business in your city that could potentially eliminate all the problems that your city has. It's like, we don't want that dirty money. Fuck you. Your face is dirty. Like, there's no such thing as dirty money in politics. I absolutely don't believe it. There's no such thing as dirty. Wherever the money comes from, if you are putting it to legitimate purposes, there's no such thing as dirty money.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about casinos, gambling, and all that stuff. I can definitely see the argument, it always attracts organized crime and all sorts of stuff. But I think there are often enough net positives that come with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not possessed with all the facts. All I know is that there have been a couple places in Canada, I think even in BC, where they have been like even a small casino.
Yeah.
It was also like this huge metroplex, this like mini mall being built around it and creating a whole lot of jobs and creating a whole lot of revenue all over the place. And I often feel like, you can take the good with the bad in that case.
Yeah, well, and the organized crime, see, I don't buy it because of how legitimate gambling is in Canada. I could buy that argument maybe in the States, because it's not as legal there. In Canada, like, it's totally legal. And I forget that a lot. The majority of gambling in the States amounts to scratch tickets. Whereas, like, we have got like weekly, bi-weekly lotteries. We've got casinos. We've got bingo halls, like exclusive bingo halls everywhere.
And a lot of money. It's more than you would think.
Yeah.
She just hands out bingo halls, I've discovered.
Yeah.
People who are regular players can buy a shit ton of things. Just, there are hundreds of dollars being passed around by the minute, back and forth.
And it's just, there's less stigma around it too, like poker is totally, I guess, there's the mainstream poker in the States.
I don't know, I think we're speaking very generally about the States.
Yeah.
You can speak more generally about Canada than you can about the States.
True. Well, I know, but anyway, my main point is that gambling and casinos are more legal here than they are in the States. That's just, because it varies state to state.
Yeah.
I forget my original point. But casinos, no, I don't accept the argument that it invites organized crime, because, you know what, there is organized crime. There's still, say, there's a lot of smuggling of legal things like tobacco, but not to the extent of when there's been tobacco prohibition. There is still smuggling of illegal alcohol, but not to the extent of in the Depression when there was, So yeah, there certainly is organized crime elements to these things, but it's certainly not to the extent of when there is prohibition on it. And the same argument for marijuana, where there's a lot of bullshit things that are said about it, like when it's legalized and we tax it, the figure that would bring $1 billion in 5 years is unrealistic, because that's based on the prices as they are right now because they're legal. So if you legalize it, there'd still be that organized crime element, because they would be selling it at lower prices, and they would still be getting huge revenue. I don't believe that, because here's the thing that I believe that is not factored into this is you have to consider the number of people that do not have moral objections to marijuana, that if it were to become legalized, would then become a user of it.
Yeah.
Right?
I know some people like that.
Yeah. My mom used to smoke marijuana, but she doesn't anymore because she married my dad, who's a cop. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it became legal, fuck yeah, I'd smoke up with my mom. Wait, that's not the real. So you're opening up this entire other demographic of people, and I imagine the same thing happened with Prohibition, whereas you have this whole demographic of people who are like, well, I don't have any moral obligation with alcohol, but I don't drink it because it's illegal. I don't have any moral obligations with marijuana. I don't smoke because it's illegal. If it were to become legal, you bet your ass I'd smoke.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that.
I think there's just huge amounts of conjecture on all sides.
Mm-hmm.
If when it comes to the pricing of any, or the possible benefits like that, it's we cannot possibly know. We have no idea what prices would be, what people would buy, what people would pay for it, what people try to sell it illegally versus legally, all kinds of stuff like that. I feel like with gambling, I don't know how many gamblers there are in, say, where was this casino that was being shut down again?
I only know is that it was going to be built in Vancouver. This was actually a number of years ago, like 2010 or 2011, I believe.
Yeah.
All I remember is that it was in Vancouver, and Gregor Robertson was very public about it, and people were clapping at it like a fucking bunch of ducks.
I don't know how many gamblers there are in Vancouver who travel to other places to.
Well, there are already a few casinos in Vancouver.
Yeah.
This was gonna be like a fucking megaplex, though. This was gonna be like the be-all, end-all casino.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely feel like there are a lot of people out there who are chronic gamblers or casual gamblers, and you may as well have their money here than somewhere else.
Well, fucking look, we're in Burnaby. I'm looking at a casino right now, the Grand Villa Casino. That's where that's for anybody watching this video. I'm giving you like spatial relativity here. I'm looking at the Grand Villa Casino right here in Burnaby.
Conference center.
Yeah. There's a conference centers. Do you know what you can do in conference centers?
Anything you want. If you're willing to pay. I've never actually done any kind of gambling of any kind, actually. Never played real cards for stakes, never used a slot machine, anything like that. So I always kind of try to adopt a there but for the grace of God stance on that kind of thing. I'm like, I don't know. Well, I do know, and that is I'm not interested in any system that I know I cannot game and that
yes.
it is proven that you will lose. But
yeah.
Which is why the only card game I like is blackjack.
Yeah, I like poker. I'm playing with the idea of going and dropping in some early bird tournaments. The problem is I don't have any money right now, but I like to play poker.
I'd be hella interested in going to a casino someday. We should go to a casino someday.
I think we should go to a casino someday. Yeah. And then there's a lot of other there's a lot of other stupid decisions that politicians make that really just anger me. And it turns and it's always always about money. It's always about money. And I hate using the term uneducated to refer to mass amounts of people that politicians try to appeal to, because it makes me sound more pretentious than I am, only slightly. But I have some people that I talk to when I try. I have fairly light socialist ideals. I believe in certain socialized. What's the word I'm looking for?
Commie.
No, institutions, socialized institutions, education, healthcare, these sorts of things. And a lot of people I talk to are like, well, I don't want to pay come in from my taxes. I'm like, okay, well, the argument that okay, well then we tax the rich, and it's shocking to me how many people in lower to middle class
defend the rich.
Defend the rich. They say no, we shouldn't tax them. Why not? Mm-hmm. We're not going to make them any less fucking rich. I'm not even talking about the people who would make $150,000 a year. Like say, lawyers or doctors that make $150,000. I'm talking about people who are making $1 million a year minimum. Which there are many of those people that make $1 million a year minimum. If we raise the tax bracket,
people who are making $1 million a year on interest on their money.
Yeah, and if we raise the tax bracket on them and do absolutely nothing else, and then we have all this extra money coming in, it's not going to affect the economy negatively. How could it?
Well, I think the unfortunate thing, like part of that whole issue, is apart from the people who are defending the idea of taxing the rich, which I think is stupid. Yeah. I think those people are stupid.
I don't know if they're so much defending the idea of taxing the rich as much as they are defending the idea of free market, which is ostensibly non-taxing of the rich.
Yeah. But I think the sad truth we would have to face if we ever did say, hey, you know what? Let's do it. Yeah. Let's tax the hell out of rich people relatively. Yeah. It's not going to make a huge difference to their bottom line.
No.
People who are that rich will always find a way to worm out of it, and in the end it would make no difference.
Yeah.
Is you institute these taxes, they will find a legal loophole, or they will find something, because you will have the richest people in the world.
Some of the richest, and the richest people are often the smartest people.
But and if not, even then, they can afford the smartest accountants and the smartest lawyers. They will find a loophole. The status quo will return. Mm-hmm. They will go back to paying the same amount or less they did before, and that is a defeatist attitude, and it's horrible, and it's not productive.
Yeah.
But I think it's the truth.
I think the way, so what it would require is an entire restructuring of the taxing system. which is a lot of work and a lot of people. I don't think there are too many federal leaders that would have the balls to do that, because again, you'd be facing against a lot of really rich, angry people.
Not at this point in time.
But it's certainly be interesting to see.
Not in our current economic climate.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that everybody is now, and again, it makes even less sense to me, is because the economy is down, we must then protect the rich even more. The rich aren't poor right now. The rich are still rich. When an economy is down, you have to look at the people who are impoverished. Even say the people who are in the upper middle class that have now been taken away from everything, like the housing crisis. All the people that lost their homes, which whether or not you think is their fault, those are the people that we then need to look after, because they lose their homes and now they're out of work. And then so let's say that there were 20% of the people that were working at Walmart have now been laid off. Well, then what happens when that Walmart then can't sustain itself because people aren't working to buy things? So then that place closes, and then you have even more people losing their jobs. You have to look after the people that are the most affected by an economic crisis, and those are invariably always the poorest people. Which when you're talking to people with dollar signs in their eyes, that costs money. It costs money to look after the poor people. It costs a lot of your money. And it's so easy to make that argument to people in the middle class that haven't been affected as much. Say, are you going to pay your money to help these people? I don't know.
I think one of the best articles I ever read, probably linked to me by Pitchfork actually. This was in the hottest season of the whole Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street thing, was people who make the argument against taxing the rich or against taxation in general, of all kinds of things, of saying, I'm a self-made man. And how often that is used as an argument, and how seldom it is true, and how much people lie to themselves and deny the privilege, and that's even worse word to have to use, that they've grown up with, of just people who, even if they work hard, even if they're hard workers and they earn everything they have today, who do not realize what an advantageous position they were born into, and that there are people out there who have no chance.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is that we like to think that in a free society, the chance for a college or university education isn't privilege. It's just a right, or not even a right. It's I can't think of the word, but it is a privilege. There are a lot of people in poor schools that don't get good educations because the school's a shitty school, or it's just a poor neighborhood or whatever, and they grow up and they can't afford to go to the college or university. They have to get a job because they got pregnant or whatever. They don't have that opportunity. Not everybody does have that opportunity. It is an incredible privilege to be able to grow up in a community that fosters that sort of that ideal, where you can become anything that you want. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't talk a whole lot on matters of politics because I'm not in possession of all the facts.
Yeah, that's an important thing that I try to do too. Is that whenever I have political discussions, I make it a very I try to make it as obvious as I can that everything.
We're speaking on big emotional.
level. Opinions, and I'm a little bit more schooled in it, but the schooling that I have is I didn't put any effort into it. And it's all just, I don't know. I don't even remember what we started talking about.
Oh, it was that goddamn bumper sticker.
Oh, fucking...
People who are driving keep calm and carry on into the ground, when it was a cool historical thing that was like, hey, this was a real moment in history.
Wow. Yeah, they used up all the battery. Woo, I can see my hands. Woo.